Most Claude skills people build don't work, not because Claude is incapable, but because the skills are missing one of these 4 layers. Last week, I built a Claude skill to help me write a McKinsey-grade proposal and send it to a group CFO. It worked because it had all 4 layers. In today's video, I'm going to show you what these 4 layers are, and by the end of it all, you'll have a framework for building skills that you can use for any use case in your business. Hi, my name is Kevin Kabo. I've spent the last 10 years of my life building an award-winning business with global and Pan-African clients. A Claude skill is basically a set of instructions that Claude can call to complete a specific task. Think SOPs to make it a bit simpler. And there are 4 layers of a good skill. The first one is the output layer. So what is it that the skill is going to produce at the end of it all? And for me, it was a proposal styled in the McKinsey way of doing things because of the stakeholder that I was going to speak to. The second layer is the expertise layer. Now, this is what a set of expertise, framework, structure will the skill follow to give you the output that you desire. And for me, I think I've already mentioned it. It was how McKinsey do their things in terms of proposals to these kinds of stakeholders. What frameworks does a McKinsey consultant follow to get to a specific output? The third layer is the input layer. So what will you feed into this skill for it to be able to compound and give you the output that you desire? And the last one is the teaching layer. And this is something that not many people try to think through when they are creating skills. And it's a functionality of AI that it can meet us at the level of expertise we're at. So for my example, I wanted to understand deeper how a McKinsey consultant would put together a proposal for any use case. And I built in 2 specific modes. The first one is a tutor mode where it draws on the expertise and I brainstorm what I want to give it. And what happens is it critiques my input so that it can refine how I think through whatever it is that I'm doing. The second one is the teach mode. And the teach mode is basically asking questions which you get direct answers to. So if you have a question about a specific framework, then you just ask it and it gives you this. Now let's get into the build. So step 1 is just jumping into Claude. What I need to do is I need to delete this skill that I already have so that we can recreate it from scratch. And then let's come in here, and Claude has a really cool functionality called the skill creator skill. So we'll call it just now. Let's create a skill using and you just call it using a / skill creator. First, ask me what the skill should do. And this is where the output layer is coming into play. So it's calling the skill creator skill. All right. So I'll answer the questions. So what should this skill enable me to do more consistently? So I want to create a skill that helps me create McKinsey-grade proposals and presentations for clients. Then the second one, when should it trigger? So it should trigger when I'm working on proposals and presentations. And number 3, what does good output look like? A finished document, a score breakdown, a coaching response. So here it should be able to create a finished document, work with, as well as help me understand some of the frameworks, methodologies used, but only when I request it. But I have a question here. So should I make it very specific to a specific industry, or should I make it general? So either industry agnostic or specific. So I'll just going to ask, before creating the skill, is it better to have an industry/product specific skill, or should it be agnostic? Okay, so this is just a thought that I have because I want to understand like the depth of the specifics. All right. Okay. Context injection, okay. Two distinct sales motion. All right. Yes, let the context decide. Yeah. Should the skill output a finished file or work in chat first, then offer to export? So I prefer we draft in chat. Okay, so yep. Then how much should the skill push back versus just execute? This will be contextual and based on my objective versus the best practice, domain expertise, McKinsey. So what I'm hearing, adaptive output format, skill reads the situations, decides, yes. Perfect. Chat first, so outline narrative, yes. This means that the skill is more of a thinking partner than a doc generator. This is what I wanted. Then contextual pushback, when your stated conflicts with the consulting, yes, that's exactly, yes. That third option is actually the most interesting one. It means the skill needs to build in instinct. All right. A few more things. So should the skill teach them on demand? Yes, but only lives in reference files. But also the skill silently, no keep frameworks out of the skill. So yes, let it live in a reference file. Then which use case will you hit first with this skill? Zentax. And then do you have a past proposal deck you want me to use as a reference? So I don't want any reference. No, I want you to build a skill based on principles, McKinsey principles. For the aesthetics, I will share references when it's time for the output to be packaged. So basically what I'm saying is here, instead of, referencing something specific that I already have, I want it to be a blank slate. Let's polish it towards the end, more of the principles and thinking first. Okay. So the skill at a glance, what it does, helps you build client-ready proposals using McKinsey principles, right? Diagnoses the deliverable from your context, drafts in chart, pushes back when your stated objectives. Perfect. The references are only loaded when you ask, explain, yes, or when the skill needs to teach a concept. Otherwise, it just applies the principle silently. 2 design decisions. First, use calibration in Zentax. I'll need the skill examples with SAS or SMB. All right. Push back, the skill needs to be clear, or rule for when to challenge you versus when to execute. If your stated violates, barring the answer, weeks or what, all right. If yes, I'll draft the skill in the 4 reference files and put them. Okay. One last call. I want the skill to reflect the timeless principles applied by McKinsey and adapt to the current realities that businesses in Africa and Kenya face, i.e. any technological changes that make applying the principles change in how they are applied. Okay, so what I'm basically saying here is I want something that reflects principles, because principles are few, methodologies are many, but also works with the context of the modern day world, right? So as timeless layer, but applies them through exactly. So buyer realities, data scarcity, regulatory volatility, trust economics, pricing psychology, okay? So how this shapes the skill. So this is basically what it's telling me would be the skill's distinctive edge. So where the tech changes, how principles apply. All right, it'll be baked into the skill. One real tension to name. The skill could go in 2 ways. Universal skill, Africa aware, default to global best, flex to African. All right. Then path B, Africa first skills, defaults to African context, unless you say otherwise, sharper. Okay. I'd suggest path A with strong African defaults. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think this is what I'll go with. One more thing to add first. So what I'd like here is I'd like the skill to default to British English. Okay. So I want it to be always British English. Okay, because that's where we're from, that's how we communicate. All right, now you're seeing that it's actually building the skill. So just to walk you through the thinking, the output is a proposal, and even if it's a strategy, whether it's a sales proposal, that's what it's going to create in terms of its thinking. In terms of the expertise layer, it's going to use the McKinsey way of doing things. The inputs I'll get into in a bit based on the specific use case that I want, and the teach is something that I've already built into the skill. So the skill is done creating, and so what we have is, this is the name. It has 6 files. So it has the skill, the workflow itself, then references, these are the frameworks, then the narrative pattern, slide design principles based on how McKinsey do it, reference proposal anatomy, and Africa context. So here we go, a few choices I made that you might want pushback on. So the pushback heuristic is explicit. I wrote it as name the tension, explain to 1 or 2 sentences, ask whether to adjust or proceed. The Africa file is opinionated, takes a stance on things like don't pretend to be global, don't translate, be honest about AI compression, okay. British English is non-negotiable, all right. Visual aesthetics deferred to your references, okay. Then brand guidelines match those. So these are now part of the inputs. Okay, how would you like to review the skill? So package it now and I'll test it later. So let me just finish packaging it. All right. So the cool thing about the skill is done packaging. The cool thing about this is you can save the skill, and saving the skill is you put it directly into Claude. So you just need to click this button right here. And now we're going to test it live. If you enjoy this kind of content that helps you build easier and smarter businesses using AI and automation, don't forget to subscribe. I want to create a sales proposal template whose outcome for Zentax, the outcome being a pilot period proposal. I'd like the financial section to be left open so that I can edit the template as and when I need to. I'm going to give you some context, i.e. how the tool works using a transcript from a video I made and uploaded to YouTube. Okay. We call the skill using the backslash to create the proposal. So the proposal template. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add, so here we go. That's the transcript. So I just want us to start with just the transcript so that it creates a template for me, okay? So you can see it's working. It's reading the skill so that it can structure it. Okay, so I need to look in 4 things. Is the pilot standard duration? So it's usually 6 weeks. The primary success metric. So the success metric is savings in payable tax based on validating the invoices and knowing what is valid versus invalid. It should be a number that is easily digestible based on revenue, e.g. Cares 500 M in revenue with unclaimed expenses from VAT and income tax leads to extra payable tax of X, or both VAT and income tax. Okay, typical buy in the room. So it's a mix. Head of finance is the door opener. C-suite / directors are the decision makers. Okay. Step 2, the spine is a proposed, so governing thought. All right. Pillar 1, the hidden cost is real and quantifiable. Okay. All right. 6 weeks pilot structured. All right. A few things I want to flag in this skeleton is a placeholder for risk reversal. You don't have to offer money back guarantee. Include some downside protection. Okay. The exposure number is the killer hook. Okay. No pillar on credentials. Is a trust signal, not the argument. Template will be bracketed editable. Okay. Yes. I'll draft the full pros in chat. Okay. I'm happy with it. Generate the proposal. Okay. All right. Okay. So answer first. So this is what I was looking for. Here we go. Answer first, pyramid integrity. So what trust signals? There we go. Two things I want to actively decide on: the downside protection. Okay, all right, this is fine. Okay, so I want you to package reformat the text to fit a PPTX. Here's a template for you to work with. For styling. My expectation is a PowerPoint proposal with the aesthetics of the attached template and the clarity of the McKinsey-grade proposal. All right. So what I'm going to add here, just want to add a quick, here we go. So this is just basically a PowerPoint template that I wanted to format the entire output as. So Claude has done some QA on the slides. It's done. So it's just going through each slide and saying QA. If there's an issue, it's flagging it, for example, the first slide. So it's gone through all that, and says, okay, 11 of 12 slides ready to ship. It's redesigning the cover page, and that's how it looks like, okay? So just for us to get a quick view of what it's produced, here's how it looks. There we go. So nice clean cover page. Here's what it's explaining as the problem. That's what it looks like. So I think the slides are very aesthetic. You can see it's following the template that I gave it. It left it blank as I had said. A justification, 4 named risks, 3 confirmations from client, and a thank you page. That brings us to the end of today's video. If you want this template, comment skill and I'll send it to you so that you can adapt it to your own business. Thank you.